Japanese role-playing games are notorious for serving up difficult bosses with crazy amounts of health. You simply don't rack up 100 hours of playtime without a few roadblocks on the way. The guys on this list destroyed us, after which we had to grind for hours before we dared to face them again. Get ready for 10 difficult bosses that made JRPG fans cry. Legend of Legaia is a PlayStation action role-playing game from 1998. The game features a tactical art system that lets you specify which arm you use and how high or low you strike. It's kind of a weird combat system, but you will need to master it fully if you want to stand a chance against Gaza. You have to defeat this guy a couple of times through the game. The second time you face him is the hardest because he's been corrupted by a dark force. You will need to use your best martial arts, lots of health items, and a little luck to take him down. We stay in the world of obscure JRPGs with Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga. It has one of the hardest bosses in the entire genre in the form of Demi-Fiend. It's kind of funny that developer Atlus made this guy that frustrated so many gamers the protagonist in one of their other games. You play as the Demi-Fiend in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. He is incredibly difficult to defeat, even with a party of completely maxed out characters. The odds are clearly stacked against you in a pretty unfair way. Lingering Will is arguably the toughest boss in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. This secret boss is designed to be incredibly difficult and ridiculously complicated. He's invulnerable during most of his attacks, which makes it impossible to interrupt his long combos. It will take you many hours to beat him unless you use cheap tactics. Berserk Charge, Negative Combo, and Fenrir is an effective but shameful way to take him down. Either way, you will get some pretty nice loot whether you fight honorable or just cheese him to death.
Who is that?
Elizabeth is such a strong boss in Persona 3 FES, you need to finish the game twice just to level up enough in order to stand a chance. You are not allowed to bring your party and have to face her alone, which makes things a lot more difficult. You are in for one hell of a fight, even with a fully upgraded character and the most powerful personas at your disposal.
Your fate is in the cards.
One wrong move means instant death, as she can easily one-shot you. Beating Elizabeth is something only the most hardcore players will be able to do.
Persona!
Yasmat from Final Fantasy XII has one of the longest life bars in the history of gaming. When you start to chip away at his 50 million health points, you feel a real sense of dread. This is going to be a very, very long fight. With a fully leveled up crew, it will still take you hours to beat him. Yasma will start casting protective buffs on itself when your party is out of its reach, so you need to dispel those immediately if you don't want an even longer fight. And what do you get after going through this ordeal? A lousy 30,000 gil and the Godslayer badge. Guess you only beat this one for the bragging rights. Shadow Hearts is a pretty obscure JRPG on the PS2 from 1999. The combat in this game works with a judgment ring, which resembles a golf game. You need to time your button presses just right in order to do maximum damage. The hardest boss in this game has to be the Seraphic Radiance. It's a one-on-one fight and the battle goes through multiple phases. What makes it even harder is the fact that you have to watch your sanity meter in addition to your health. If you run out of SP points, you go berserk and lose the fight. Upon defeat, you are allowed to fuse with the Seraphic Radiance, giving you some of the best powers in the game. Emerald Weapon is one of the hardest optional bosses in the entire Final Fantasy franchise. It has over 1 million HP and you only have 20 minutes to beat him before you run out of air. You can get the underwater materia to remove the time limit, but even then, this one is one hell of a challenge. Your party needs to be leveled up since this boss can kill anyone with a few direct hits. Anyone who can say they defeated Emerald Weapon sure is a hardcore Final Fantasy fan in our book. Chrono Trigger is an absolute masterpiece on the Super Nintendo. We loved traveling through time and discovering all the different lands this game had to offer. However, we remember the final boss a little less fondly. Lavos is one of the toughest foes from the 16-bit era. He has many forms and a crazy amount of health. His first form emulates the attack patterns of many bosses you fought over the course of the game. So you better come prepared if you want to take this guy down and save the universe. You don't immediately think of Pokémon when you talk about difficult bosses that made JRPG fans cry. However, Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver have an extremely tough boss in the form of Red. This is undoubtedly the strongest Pokémon trainer in the world. Red's Pokémon are extremely high leveled, with his Pikachu topping the numbers at a whopping level 88. You really need a full crew of leveled up Pokémon if you want to stand a chance against this brutal trainer. Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo was made with the help of Square Enix. You can really recognize the art of the creators of Final Fantasy in a secret boss battle. Culex looks very out of place in a Mario game. His difficulty level is also extremely high compared to the many bosses that came before him. The fight is completely optional and only there to test the skills of the best players. You really need to know what you're doing if you decide to fight this secret boss. Those were 10 difficult bosses that made JRPG fans cry. Did you beat any of these tough bosses? Let us know in the comments and please like the video and subscribe to the channel.